Welcome back. My name is Alfred Eugene Pearl. We're looking at the book of Revelation. In this particular segment, we're going to be looking at the four sevens. These are found in the hereafter portion of Revelation. As you know, Revelation is self-partitioned into three parts, actually two, but God told, actually the angel told John to write what you've seen, the things which are and the things which shall be hereafter. Revelation 4 begins the hereafter portion, and these four sevens are found in chapter 6 after a description of the throne of God. Now, here are the four sevens arranged in the pattern that we've been looking at. Remember, we looked at the timeline. I think I have it here somewhere. There it is. Remember, we looked at the timeline of the ages appointed to this to Adam, to the ages appointed to mankind, and we discovered there's four ages. Well, here's the four sevens of Revelation, arranged in much the same way, with the rapture occurring after the last trump. Let's jump in. Now, these first three verses, I put them there just to associate the sounding of the trumpet with the resurrection. The next verse there, Revelation 11:12, is the record of the two witnesses who are they were murdered. They were dead for 3 days, and then they were raised from the dead, and here they are ascended. They ascend into heaven. Now, this is in the seventh. No, it's not. It's in the sixth trumpet, and it marks the end of this age when these two witnesses are ascend into heaven. The very next event is what is the sounding of the last trump, when the ecclesia of Jesus Christ is resurrected into heaven. Now, Revelation 11:15 there is the record of the sounding of the last trump, and what occurs is the kingdoms of this world become the kingdoms of our Lord and His Christ. Everything that pertained to Adam that was usurped by Satan is here taken possession of by Jesus Christ. That leaves Satan as the odd man out, because his only claim to having a position in heaven is his usurpation of Adam's title and position. You know, it was Adam that was a son of God, according to Luke 3:38. So in Job, when Satan appeared in heaven among the sons of God, it was a usurped position. He's not a son of God, he's a cherub. And of course, he loses every title that he got from Adam and Adam's dominion. And you'll find that very shortly after this, in the next chapter, he's cast out of heaven. Now, so here's the four ages. You are here. Now we're going to take a look at this period here, because we are indeed on the cusp between the third age, the age appointed to the ecclesia, the Gentiles called to God, and the kingdom age, which is coming next. So let's expand this little circle, and we find ourselves nearing the end of the seven seals. Specifically, we are in the fifth seal. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. Stick around, I'll try to demonstrate that to you. But I'm giving you things up front because, as I indicated in a previous segment, my son watched one of these and he said, "Dad, you're getting way too detailed. You're going to bog people down. The mind cannot absorb what the seed cannot endure." So, I'm tipping my hand here. I'm showing you what I got, and then I'm going to show you how I got there. So let's proceed. Now, again, here are the four ages appointed to this creation, and here are the four sevens in the book of Revelation. Now, I believe that the nature of the four ages carries forward into the four sevens in Revelation. In other words, the nature of the Adamic age, the nature of rebellion. Adam rebelled against the command of God, and when he disobeyed, ate the forbidden fruit. And of course, it's reflected again in the guy who culminated the age, Nimrod. He was a man of rebellion as well. And I believe that the nature of rebellion is manifest in the seals, and I think we'll see that living large when we get there. Now, the trumpets, I think, pertain to Israel in some way. They are yet future, and so I don't want to speculate. As I indicated in a previous segment, I am a pan-eschatologist. My MO is just to wait to see how things pan out and then identify them when they come to pass, and I'm going to be doing a lot of that in this and subsequent studies. I'm going to show you where I think a lot of these things have had their fulfillment. And but there's no way to anticipate future prophecies. All we can do is wait around and see how they pan out. Now, the thunders, I believe, pertain to the ecclesia, the called out of God. And I believe they take their fulfillment in heaven because they occur after the rapture. See, here's the word rapture here in the center of these 4 sevens. So I believe the thunders take place after the rapture, and they occur in heaven. And part of them being manifest is, now, okay, if you're familiar with the Bible, with the events in Revelation, you know that when the 7 thunders uttered their voices, John was about to write down what they said, and the angel told him, no, 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 don't write those down. Those are to remain sealed. And so we really don't know what the thunders uttered, and therefore we don't know what the fulfillment of the thunders will be. But because the age of the ecclesia, because the nature and character of Christ is that he rose from the dead and ascended into heaven, and the church will be raptured, I believe the thunders take their fulfillment in heaven following the rapture. It's a personal belief. I want you to search the scriptures. I don't want you to just believe everything I say. I want you, because you're responsible for what you believe. So go to the Bible, develop your own beliefs. I'm giving you mine just as I'm just throwing it out there because it's yet future. I don't know. My beliefs aren't any better than yours. So anyway, the final kingdom age associated with the vials. And see, the vials are referred to as golden vials. Now that's a big tip-off, and I'll tell you why. You see, the temple follows this pattern as well. I'm speaking specifically of Solomon's temple, which of course was destroyed. It was rebuilt after the return from captivity, but it wasn't anything near what it was in Solomon's temple. And then of course Herod's temple was as glorious as it was. It may not have followed the same pattern faithfully, but I don't know. I wasn't there. So anyway, here's the pattern of the temple. The court of the Gentiles is, I believe, a parallel of the Adamic age. In the Adamic age, you had all kinds of people before the flood. You had the descendants of Cain, who, the ground would not bring forth to them. None of them were in agriculture because God cursed them. The ground shall no longer bring forth to you, was the curse on Cain, and none of his descendants were in agriculture. Well, they were destroyed in the flood. They were all killed in the flood. But the court of the Gentiles parallels this age because anybody could go into the court of the Gentiles. You could be of any nationality. You could be male, female. You could have physical malformities. It didn't matter. Anybody was welcome in the court of the Gentiles. Now, I believe the court of the Jews parallels the age of the Israelites. Duh. It's the court of the Jews. That's pretty obvious. Now, the altar of sacrifice was in the court of the Jews, as was the brass laver. And I believe the brass laver is probably a parallel of crossing the Jordan River, because the whole function of the brass laver was for the priests to wash in, become ceremonially clean, and when they went through the Jordan River, they were circumcised by Joshua, and of course indicating that the filth of the flesh was left there on the bank of the river, and of course, anyway. I think it's typical of baptism, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So, court of the Gentiles, court of the Jews. Now, the holy place, I believe, is a parallel to the age of the ecclesia. In this precinct of the temple, there are a lot of things that reflect Christianity or Christ. Christ said, I am the vine, and ye are the branches. In this court of the temple, there is a 7-branched golden candlestick. And, Jesus said, I am the one that walks in the midst of the candlesticks, between them. And the candles of the 7 angels of the 7 churches. They dictated letters to 7 churches. Now, there's also a table of showbread, and it doesn't say in the Bible whether the showbread is leavened or unleavened. So I asked a rabbi one time, and he didn't even have to research it. He knew off the top of his head, oh, that's leavened bread. You see, leavened bread, the church is the ecclesia, is characteristic in that we don't follow the law of Moses. And of course, leaven represents sin. You see, we're not under the law. And so the leavened bread, the 12 loaves of leavened bread in the holy place, definitely, it does not represent the Jews. I mean, they were called to holiness and righteousness. They obeyed the law. So if you have leavened bread, 12 loaves of leavened bread, the showbread in that holy place, that's representative of the church, not Israel. Anyway, also in that precinct of the temple, what else is in there? There's a golden candlestick way over at the other end near the veil of the temple, which separated the holy place from the Holy of Holies. And of course, on the golden altar was not offered sacrifice. On the golden altar was burned incense. Now, incense, think about it, by undergoing the process of fire yields a sweet-smelling savor, right? And what do we have at the end of the age appointed to the ecclesia? We have a tribulation, a great tribulation. We're going to see in a second, we're going to see those people in the fifth seal, where they cry out for vengeance. Hey, when are you going to take vengeance on those that took our life? They snuffed us out, And God says, hang tight until the number is complete, because they. And then at the end of the fifth seal, in the sixth seal events, we see the number. The number is full, and we find out that these are those who came out of great tribulation. So, anyway. That's the thunders, and that's the holy place. Now, the Holy of Holies, of course, everything is overlaid with gold, and that's where I was going to with all this. The vials are called the golden vials. So that's a big tip. It's a parallel of the Holy of Holies, where you have the Ark of the Covenant, and inside the Ark of the Covenant is the two tables of stone with the 10 Commandments on them. And on top of the Ark of the Covenant is something called the mercy seat. It's the lid of the Ark of the Covenant. Is the mercy seat, the throne of the king of the kingdom age. And what's interesting is it's a throne, really. So the mercy seat rests upon the foundation of the law. You see, it's a pun. This seat rests upon the foundation of the law that is within the Ark of the Covenant, and the one who sits on it is the one who gave his life to so that men's sins could be forgiven. So it's the mercy seat. You see. We're found guilty by the law, but he died for our sins. So, a beautiful picture of the kingdom age, and correlation to the Holy of Holies, where everything was overlaid with gold. Now, what is that blue thing in the middle? Well, I couldn't fit the word rapture and porch there together, so I put that blue thing there. In the very middle of the temple, there's the court of the Gentiles, and then only Jews could go into the court of the Jews. And after the altar in the court of the Jews, there's a stairway that rises up to the raised portion of the temple where the holy place and Holy of Holies were. But at the top of the staircase is the porch of the temple. Now, if you look at the dimensions of the porch of the temple in the Bible, you'll find that it was the highest part of the temple. As a matter of fact, the dimensions given for the porch of the temple are so tall, some commentators actually dismiss them. They say, oh no, they couldn't possibly have been that tall. The porch couldn't possibly have been that tall because it's disproportionate to the rest of the temple. Well, following Christ's sacrifice on the altar, well, he wasn't sacrificed on an altar, but that's what the altar in the temple represents in the timeline. Christ's sacrifice for sins. Following his sacrifice was the ascension, represented by the staircase. And at the top of the staircase, when Christ ascended, he sat at the right hand of God in heaven. So the porch represents heaven, where Jesus now sits. The right hand of God. So yeah, it's going to be tall. It represents heaven. So anyway, that's what that blue thing is there. It's just to remind me to talk to you about the porch of the temple and how the architecture and the various precincts of the temple outline all of history. The court of the Gentiles paralleling the Adamic age, court of the Jews, the Israelite age, the holy place, the age appointed to those who are called out, the ecclesia. And of course, the Holy of Holies, which is a parallel to the kingdom age. Okay, we've covered a lot. And, oh, by the way, the four living creatures before God's throne, there they are. The man, parallel to the first age. The ox, the only kosher of the four living creatures, a parallel to the Israelite age, and the trumpets, the eagle, the age of the ecclesia. Jesus ascended into heaven, just like an eagle ascends into the sky. And of course, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the lion representing the kingdom age reign of Jesus Christ on earth. And we should be done. There we go. Next time we'll get into the end times of the past ages, so you understand the end times of the age in which we live. Goodbye, and I hope you'll join me in the next segment. And I hope God will richly bless you between now and then. Bye-bye.